Hello, my stamping friends. It's Renae Novak at BlessedByCards.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and I'm here today to share with you several cards and 4 different backgrounds that you can create using this Delicate Dahlia Stamp Set. Now, we are in the final weeks of our celebration, actually the final days, and I am going to feature this Delicate Dahlia Stamp Set. I'm going to use the large solid, I'm going to use the detailed large, and I'm going to use the tiny little solid flower. So I want to share with you how you can take this solid background stamp and create 4 different backgrounds that you can then cut up to make cards. So one of the things you want to remember with the photo palmer more solid, larger stamps is you want to have something that's cushiony underneath your cardstock. So that's why the silicone mat's really good, or the Stamping Pierce mat, or your stack of grid paper works really great for that as well. Okay, so for these backgrounds, I cut these into 6 by 6, but you can do them at 8.5 by 11, or you can do a 12 by 12 sheet, whatever size you want, because then you'll cut them down to create cards. For the first one, I used polished pink, pale papaya, crumb cake, some memento black, and created this background. Now, the stamp sets that I used were the Delicate Dahlia, and that's the star of the show with the large and the small flowers. And then for accent pieces, I used 2 of the stamps. I used this dotted stamp and a larger dotted stamp from the Gorgeous Leaves stamp set. So here's the pink one with polished pink. And I just randomly stamped everything around and then accented the little dots with either colors or black. This one is Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather with some pale papaya. The crumb cake is the background, and then the accent is a little bit of Granny Apple Green and some Memento Black. The next one is Misty Moonlight, and I, just to get the lighter image, just stamped it again. Pale papaya. This is the crumb cake, a little bit darker. I didn't stamp that crumb cake off, but the bigger stamp I did, and then added the dots in black. And then the last one, and we're going to create 2 cards using this sheet today, is Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana, Smoky Slate, Pool Party, and a little bit of black. Now on these little bit of black dots, I used this large stamp from Gorgeous Leaves, but I just barely inked up the black and then just kind of tapped it around to get the dots where I wanted it. And then I cut this paper and created the first card. It's just a basic black. And then I cut the paper that I created, this background paper, down to be a 4 by 5.25. I added a rectangle black, a greeting, and a black matte dot. Now inside I just left mine blank for now, but I am going to add a piece of white cardstock, and I'll probably stamp the smaller flower down in the corner as well. All right, so for this next one, I thought it would be fun is if we did a little embossing. I did this ahead of time. I stamped with the large dahlia detail in black embossing powder and heated it up with the heat gun. And then I thought I would just take some Bermuda Bay ink. And when I do any kind of watercoloring, I like to just sauce the ink right up on my block. And then I grab my watercolor pen or aqua painter or whatever you prefer. And I just started adding some color. Now, one thing about watercoloring is it goes pretty quickly. You don't have to color in exactly because you do want it to look like it's watercolored. And so I'm kind of just randomly going quick and squeezing out some water as I go. And then you can always go back and make the center part darker. You do want to leave a little bit of white on your flower to show, just so that it has some depth and dimension to it. Okay, so I'm just kind of randomly putting that color down. And as you can see, I'm not being real careful. I'm just kind of letting the aqua painter touch down, grabbing more color and letting it touch down. And you do want to, before you emboss, you either want to put it on some thick white cardstock or some of the shimmery white, or you can even use watercolor paper as well. And so I'm just going to add a little darker color here around the inside, pull some of it to the outside. I'm leaving some of these outer edges a little bit lighter and some white in there. But I am coming back into the center of my flower and making it a little bit darker. Okay, and it doesn't take long for it to dry, and you can always go back and add some more color if you want. And for your watercolor pencil, you'll want to, or aqua painter, you'll want to clean it off on a piece of paper towel or a soft cloth, whichever you prefer. And so that is pretty much that. And then I've already cut a piece that measures 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 to put on top of this 3-inch square. Now, all of the measurements that I'm using, all the cards today, I will list all the supplies and their measurements on my blog at BlessedByCards.com. So I'm going to just grab my Stampin' Seal, and I'm just going to put a little on the back here. And then I'm just going to layer that right on top of that black piece. And now I'm going to bring in the card that I started so that you didn't have to wait for the entire thing. But this is the other piece that I cut. So if you remember, we had the background and we created it with the stamps. And then I cut a piece that measured 4 by 5 1/4 for this card. And that left me a strip. And I layered that strip here to the left, and I added a little strip of black behind it to bring out the little dots on there. I stamped the happy birthday from Peaceful Moments using the Stamparatus so that I could get it nice and dark. And then what I'm going to do is I want to add this little flower that we just created. And I think I'm going to pull in some Stampin' Dimensionals and just put a few of those on the back here. There we go. Just put one on each corner and pull those off so that we can stick that down right in the center of that card and along that strip that we created using the Delicate Dahlia Stamp Set. So there you have it, another simple and easy card. Bring in the one that I created before. Both of these are made from one sheet of this 6x6 cardstock that we turned into designer series paper. That's all I have for my weekly Wednesday. I hope this inspires you to create something beautiful today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos. And until next time, be blessed.